Hello and welcome to another video on Microsoft Flight Simulator. Another tutorial today. This one will be on how to alter our new template. Now this template is aimed to help you with the rear logos as well as the front logo, the flap guides that we've got here, and the underneath of the aircraft. First of all, I'd like to thank you on behalf of Clink, myself and the rest of the Livery Mega Pack team. Thank you for over 50,000 downloads, and it is an insane thing to think that we only had about 800 people just a couple of days ago, and we've now just passed 5,600 people. You guys are insane, and the livery requests are just coming through like no tomorrow. We appreciate this and the photos that you're providing because it's helping us to improve on the models that we are creating, or the liveries should I say. Now we will get into today's video. Today we'll be going over, as I mentioned, the tail and the logos of the areas, and of course the template changes. So from here, if you haven't already installed a template, or if you don't have any liveries, I suggest you go and watch my other video. It will be on your screen now, and it will also have a link in the description. So go check that out, get it installed, and then you'll be able to follow along with the rest of this. So we're going to head over to Photoshop now, and I'm going to show you what we have to go. But before we do, these are the Jetstar logos, Jetstar aircraft that myself and J&K made. So this is J&K's model, and then of course we've got mine here. Now we both spent about 20 hours on these, and we'd love you to test them out, so a download to these will be also in the description. We will be including this in an Australian pack that will compile of all of the Australian aircraft that we know of, including some of the GA ones that are available at the moment, as well as Virgin, of course Qantas, Jetstar, Tiger Air, and then of course a big one that's requested is the Royal Flying Doctor Service. So we'll get them out as quick as we can, but until then, let's get into Photoshop and get started on this template. Okay, so once you've got Photoshop open, now for those who aren't using Photoshop, if you're using GIMP, you can open the PSD that are, the three PSDs that are provided in this tutorial. Now once you've got these, this file in itself is actually the airframe fuselage, so the main section of the aircraft. It's pretty much the majority of it. Now what we're doing today is creating a livery on Tiger Air. So this is the Tiger Air one that we're creating today. So I've already got this asset, which if you're building it for an aircraft, you can normally Google the assets for the aircraft and you'll find similar, and then it's just a matter of cutting it out and doing so with it. So we've got that already, so I'm just going to unhide that layer. Whoops. Here it is here. So I've got the logo here. Okay, so this is going to be used for our tail today. Now if you need to rotate your canvas, or you can go over here to this little hand tool, or press the letter R on your keyboard to bring up the rotate tool, and then it's just a matter of left click and drag to whatever position you like. I'm leaving it upright at the moment, as it's probably best to do this part upright. But the first thing we're going to do, we need to color this tail to be orange. So what we want to do is create a new layer. Now make sure this goes under the masking layer and multiplier, which you'll see in here. So they'll be under the masking and multiplier level. Now obviously we'll drag these out and down underneath into the actual design of the whole system. Okay, so if we click on layer 17, which I've just made, yours might be layer 1. We want to go over here to our shape selection tool, flip this over to be our primary color, which is the orangey yellow sort of color they've given us. All we want to do is create a box over this region. Now you will notice that this has already started to cut out the stuff that we need, which is a great start. Now what we need to do is go up to our move tool here, which is the arrows, press Ctrl T, which is transform, hold the right Control key, click on this corner for example. We just want to drag that up to here because we don't need all this area down here covered. Now we can do the same with the right hand side. We want to drag that across. Okay, so you can see here we've still got a little bit there, so we'll just go up a little bit more. But now we're missing this corner here. So what we do is go up to this little half arrow and grid looking icon, click that, and then if you hold the Alt key, you can actually put in your own points like these ones. So we need one probably about here, so we'll click there, and we'll do another just up here. So then all we have to do from this point is click on this icon, and you drag that down to where you need it. Same goes for this, drag it to where you need, and that just keeps it off everything else. Now you can go around here and make it really fine if you wish. I'm not going to do that in today's video. Once you're done, just hit enter on your keyboard. That's trimmed it down to what we need. Okay, so if we save that as is now, it would come up as just a plain orange tail on a white aircraft, which in theory, yes, that's what we want, but we need to add the logo. So to do that, we're going to grab our logo file, which is here. Now, as I mentioned before, we want to put this under the masking layer. Now you'll notice it's automatically trimmed it out from the other areas of the aircraft. So I suggest duplicating this in the larger scale so it doesn't pixelate for the other side once we get there. I'm not going to do both sides of the aircraft today, but you'll be able to copy what I'm showing you. So if you just do Control T again, that will allow us to transform it. Now what we need is to shrink this down a little bit, and we actually need to rotate it. So our rudder will run along here, the vertical stabilizer will run along this line. So we want to try and line everything up with that. So you can see here, we've got the point, the V, the other part that curves down. Now this part will probably need a little bit of editing because it will go on the back, and then of course we've got the top part here, which is fine. So we're going to save that. Now what you can actually do is click on this layer here. Now I've already opened up my airframe wings, which is what we need next. So I'm going to click and drag this up to this corner here, which will allow me to put it into here. Okay, so we can see this one is on a different rotation. So for this one, we will rotate it around like so. So that's locked us in for that way. Now we're going to zoom in, so you can do that by holding Alt and your scroll wheel. Press Control T, so we need to rotate it around again. So we're just going to chuck that around there like so. Now we've got to picture that the rest of the rudder and whatnot is here. So it flows down. So you've got to sort of think of where it would be if it was on this page. So in this case, we go to about there. Now this will be a slightly different size normally. So you'll have to increase it. It's a bit of fiddling and so on. But once you get it, you're pretty much done. So we do need to make this quite large to get it all to fit incorrectly as it's meant to. Oops, don't want to move the margins. If they're in your way, you can get rid of them, but most of them are there to help you. Okay, so put that there. This is bringing our little snake looking thing down. We probably want to rotate it just a touch more. I'm just using the arrow keys to reposition this. So that is looking pretty good to me. So what we're going to do here, Control Shift S to save. Go to the template. You'll have this wherever you saved yours. Now we are currently working on the wings. So we want to find airframe wings here. Click that one. Now you will need a DDS editor. If you haven't already seen my other video, you will need the NVIDIA texture tools if you're using Photoshop, or if you're using GIMP, this does come default. So you will need something that can edit the DDS files, or save as DDS at least. So once we do that, click save. It will ask us if you want to replace it. Click yes. Now this window that pops up for those Photoshop users, don't worry about changing anything in here. If you've changed something by accident, just go down here, reset default values, and then click save. So that'll have saved just this back part of our tail. So what we need to do is go back to the fuselage, and we want to save this one too. So Control Shift S, down to here, DDS, template. Now this is a fuselage, so make sure fuselage is written somewhere in the title. Save, replace, yes, and save again. Now if we go in our game, you can leave your game running if the template's already been put into your game. Click the template. Now you can see we've got the orange tail and the back. Now we're on the wrong side of the aircraft for what we're doing, so we've got to go to this side. Now you can see here, we got it pretty close in terms of this here. So what we need to actually do probably is to turn this left a little bit and bring it out. And then of course we need to get that little bit of a flick that's already in our other file. So now we won't need the front of the rudder because that's already practically done. So we can keep this file open, but we just want to go back to the wings one. So this is the one we're editing. So we need to rotate this and bring it across to a point where half of that comes over. Once we've done that here, we've moved that across, rotated a little bit, we save again. Now this is very back and forward. It's just rinse and repeat until you get it right. If you have any really big issues, some of us in the Discord will offer to assist you in doing this. So make sure you join the Discord, come have a chat to myself or some of the other members of the team. Now you can see here we almost got it in that one edit. There's a little bit of grey up here, so we probably need to fill that in. It won't be 100% perfect. Don't stress about that. That is simply because of how the file's set up. We can't get those logos 100% perfect. You can almost line them all up here, but don't worry about something that crosses over. You might have the tiny little gap here. So we're going to go back to Photoshop now. Need to rotate this just a tiny little bit more. Even that should probably do. We'll go a little bit more. There we go. We hit Control Shift S again. DDS, template, wings, save, replace, save. And then we can click refresh again. And there we go. So it's not 100% as you can see here. There's still a little bit there. But you can see we've almost got that top bit. So what that's telling me is that if we zoom in here, you can see here we're missing this corner. So it actually probably needs to go just a little bit over. So if we go to the right and rotate a little bit to the right as well, we should have it. So we go here, let's rotate it just a tiny little bit to the right. And then we want to go over to the right as well. So about there. I think this will work for us. Save it in wings again, like so, and we'll refresh. Okay, so look, that's pretty close. That's what I'm going to run with for today, just because when you come out, it's pretty spot on almost. Now this bit here, you may just want to fix up, like if you're pedantic about that, you can fix that bit up. So what you would do to do something like that is, in this case, we would need to go back to our fuselage one. Now it's up in this corner here for what we want to do. Now if we have another look here, it needs to come out further than what it is. So if we just add a new layer over the top of that, get our paintbrush out, and we can just do, oops, wrong color. Make sure you have the color you need selected. Shrink the brush size down a little bit, which you can do up in the top left here. I'm just going to extend this just a little bit, like so. So that'll probably do it for that part. So if you save that again, template, DDS, fuselage, as we're back on that one now, save, and we refresh. This should be pretty close. If it's not, it's just removing a bit. Look, I'm happy with that. That's pretty spot on to me. Now we have this grey here, which isn't what we want. Okay, so what we'll do is go back to Photoshop, go into your wings file. Now you notice the grey is actually under here. This is our problem. So we need to go back over here to the shapes, select our orange or whatever color you're doing. We'll drag that over like so. Now it's covered everything that we've just done. So what you want to do is go over to your layers here, drag it under masking. See how it's fixed it for us? Saves us time. So then you can drag this down, but you hold shift and it will let you free transform it. And then of course the right control key to alter this up. So I'm going to quickly do this and I'll be back. And we hit enter and we're done. So that will now color that in. So if I save that for us, save a wings file again, because that's what we're working on. Save, and we load this now. There you go. So it's all orange, which is perfect. So we've got the look that we want from this. So now I'll move on to showing you the logo. Actually, before I do, I'll show you where these are. So these here are in your wings folder. Now you'll notice they're all numbered, so row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then of course you've got the sides. Now there is a folder up here that you can see wingtips distance fix and wingtips flaps. You want to change both of the colors if you're doing it there. Otherwise you can just deselect them and it'll turn off. Once the guides are off, the text is away. So I'm going to turn the guides off because I'm done with this file for now. Obviously you would want to go with the guides on for the time being, and you'd go through here. I'll do it quickly with this one. It's not going to be very neat, but we click on our logo file here. Then we want to go to the eraser and we just want to get rid of all the stuff that's on the wrong side of it to us. So we've just done the left hand side, so this red line here indicates the center. So you can have it go over just a little bit, but if you've got time, just fine tune it to the red line, like so. So you do that, go down here, you can get rid of all the excess and so on. If you really want to tidy it up, makes it all look nice then. So we go here, just going to quickly do this, not very neat, but do that like so. Same for the top. Oops. A little bit too zoomed in. Okay, so I've done that, so that's all trimmed. So you could probably duplicate that for the opposite side. It may work. Sometimes you have to go through a little bit of realigning it all and doing all that stuff again, but for the sake of this video, we're going to presume that it's just, you can duplicate whatever you're working on. So we go back, save wings again as a DDS, save, refresh, and now if we have a look, there we go, it's all sorted. Okay, and as you can see, I turned them all off, and that's off. Of course the guides are still on, so you'll still see the text there, but that can just be turned off as well under the guides. Okay, so now for the tricky part. The logo for the front here. So what we want to do for this one is go into your main folder, or sorry, main file, so the fuselage. Now I've already placed mine down. It isn't aligned at all, so I'm going to unhide it for you. So you can see here. So this one here and that one, all I've done is put them in. They're not bent, they run over the lines, they're not at all right for us. This one can be deleted for now. So we're going to do the same side as what we've been working on. So I will flip this 180 degrees and bring it across over this side. Okay, so the tricky part with this is that you need to line it up to be wherever you want it to be. But this line here, it's straight on the aircraft, but it actually curves. So it curves in Photoshop. So you have to work with that curve, and then when you load it in here, whoops, in your game, you'll see here it's straight. So if you, as long as you can follow that line, your logo, whatever you're doing, will be straight on this part. Might be a tiny little bit wobbly, but that's only because the file that Microsoft have done is horrible. Okay, so for this part of the video, I'm going to rotate my canvas around so it's the right way up for the logo. So you can see here, we're all sorted. Now, this currently doesn't suit that red line at all, does it? So what I'm going to do, we're going to bring it down because I want it on the lower red line. So we'll bring it down to here, like so. Okay, so you can see here that this bit, and this bit, all far too low. But we need to also take this across to here. Right, actually, let's leave it here, just for the sake of it, so I can show you what the bend becomes, essentially. Okay, so for this aircraft in particular, and this logo, I don't actually need to curve the whole thing. We only need to curve from there on, because this part will be straight. Okay, so if I rasterize my layer, because I'm using a vector, so I can rasterize it, which will take it out of vector mode. Okay, so with this one here, we only need part of it, right? Oops, there we go. We only need part of this to rotate. So we can actually Control X this out, and V back into there. and then we can align it again. So we just need it to be flat with this stuff, and that looks about the same distance. Okay, press Control T, hold the right Control key, just so it doesn't screw in a wrong way, and we want to go probably about there, I'd say. Make sure it's level still, like so. Then we want to bring this one over to be with the door, like that. You just want to adjust it just slightly to match. Okay, so that's like that. Now you can already tell that this is on an angle compared to that, but the letters aren't quite right. So if we press Control T, click on our thing up here again, now we can press Alt. What we're wanting to do is change in between here. So you can actually drag these down. Oops. So this one in particular, you can see here, this will turn it that way or that way if you need to. We want to put another marker in the center here because we need to bring it down like so. Which in doing so, you'll have to bring this one down and this one. And all these you just want to make sure they run along the line. That will mean, so here we can have that like so. I'm going to turn that a bit. This one needs to come down. See how it's going out of whack a little bit? We need to add another point. So we hold Alt again, click here. We can then drag this letter by itself almost. You tilt it and whatnot. Do it as you need. If you need a longer stretch, just pull right on the adapt thing that's there. So we'll do that. Now you can see this has gone a bit squish. So then you get the top one and you just bring it across a little bit. And it's all just tinkering with this stuff, that's all it is. So once you get it right on one side, the other side becomes pretty easy, because you can almost just copy it. So this one is rotated, so we want to bring it out a bit. Then click up here again and bring it down. And this one, rotate that way a little bit. Okay, so that is going to almost be straight. Obviously we'll need some finer adjustments, but for the sake of the video, I'll show you how that looks. So obviously we had nothing there before, apart from that line. So if we save that fuselage, save, and we'll refresh this. You can see there, obviously, as I said, it still needs a little bit of work, but it's relatively straight. So all it is keep mucking with that until you get it right. From a distance, you can see the I is off center, and so is the G, but everything else is pretty level. The E probably needs to come down a little bit, and the T to straighten out. Aside from that, it's looking very nice, and that's practically it for the logo. You just keep going through that until you're done. Now, in terms of the undercarriage part, so we're just going to use the Tiger logo in full under here. Normally you wouldn't need to, or sorry, normally you would have a different logo for underneath. So for example, you saw the Jetstar logo on the front compared to the back logo is underneath. Now, what we do to do that is, if we go back into our files, so I'm going to tab out of here again, so we're back in here. One of the files I've provided you is called Airframe Livery Text. This is this one. See how it says here, underneath logo landing gear, or here, I've got here, but I'll fix that up. Landing gear coverage. So if I turn all the guides off, I know where that is. But what we'll do is, I'm just going to grab it from the other file. So I'm going to drag my vector in for our logo here, for Tiger. So we've got this. Okay. So we're going to blow that up a little bit. Put it about that big. I'm going to hide the guides. This is how easy this part is. So we've hidden the guides, put the logo where it says underneath section. We're going to save it. Now once we're in here, we want to save it as a livery text again. Make sure it's DDS. Save. Replace. Yep. Cool. Go back to our game. And we reload. Now you can see by turning those guides off, it's got rid of all the other text there. Aircraft looks much nicer. If we go down here, you'll see the Tiger Air logo is there. Now this will open with the landing gear doors, of course, and so on. If you haven't watched my other video on how to edit the template in full, go and do that. It is included in the one that shows you how to install the mega pack, and it's basically rinse and repeat on the other side. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, remember to leave a like, comment and subscribe, and check out our Discord when you can. I hope I've covered everything. If I haven't, please do let me know in the comments, and I'll be sure to respond in whatever way I can. Tune into the live stream on Discord and see me finish this aircraft off, and until then, I'll see you in the next one.